Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Chassidus in the morning, 15 minutes, change your life. Heichaltzu. So we've been discussing till now essentially some questions on the story of the Yidden fighting against Midian, and what we explained yesterday is that for some reason we were seeing from the Psukim that the war with Midian was very much connected with Moshe, and this was his final mission before he had finished his job. We asked the questions of why does it say Heichaltzu, that you should arm yourselves, which is implying all the Jewish people, which really was only 1,000 people per tribe. And we're also talking about that Heichaltzu we see that that the Midian is in contrast to Shem Havai in the Psukim. That's what we're seeing. And what is that like? So how is that? Yeah. And also the fact that the war against Midian wasn't a war of conquest. It wasn't that we were taking the land or something like Sichon and Noeg. It was just to sort of fix up the mistake. Just before we start, a quick story that there was once a Rav back in the old country. I forgot where it was, and it was like market day, and there was two women selling products, and they started into competition and started into fights. So at a certain point, they went to the Rav to discuss it with him and try to get him to a fish adjudicator. So they're all listening out to the story, both sides, and he made his decision that one of the women was right, one of them was wrong. So one was wrong. She was very unhappy about it. She started screaming at the Rav. I can imagine this was a respected Rav. Any person to get a scream, that's not good, even most of the Rav. And she starts berating him, and she's like, oh, and she's getting stuck into him. And he just sits there taking it calmly. So the Rav's wife, she comes out of wherever she was, and she hears this, and so she's shocked. This lady's cursing at her husband, respected Rav. So she starts getting angry at him. She's like, "Why are you just letting her do that? Kick her out of the house." So he goes, "It's fine. She's not really that angry. She's not really angry." So the lady that was screaming at him, she got even more angry. He's telling her not angry. So she she goes crazy into the Rav's wife. At this point, she's losing it, and she's like, "I'm gonna get rid of her." So the lady keeps on getting even more angry, and the Rav says, "I'm telling you, she's not angry. I'll show you." So he goes to the lady that's screaming at him. She goes, would you appreciate if you had a son like me? So she's like, without skipping a heartbeat, of course. So he said, you see, she's not angry. She's not essentially angry. So she got, and this is what we're going to learn today, that the Midian, that sort of the issue with Midian is a sinas chinam. And so on one hand, lady's very angry, sorry, but really we all love each other. Let's see. Chapter 3, page 14. In the preceding chapters, the Rebbe Rashab raised several questions concerning Hashem's command to Moshe to wage war against Midian. In this chapter, he expands the explanation of the Chassidic concept behind that command, including the idea that Midian is identified with strife and disunity. So we're going to discuss unity and strife, and it's very much connected to today's day and age, fortunately or unfortunately. So in general terms, the concept can be explained as follows. So all that we've explained before, all these questions, and this is how we can understand it. The name Midian shares the same root letter as the word madin, which means strife and contention. The fundamental characteristics of the kelipah of Midian is separation and division. So essentially, you can look at this within ourselves, that we have separation and division, and also with the people around us or the world at large. As you see the world at large, especially in America, with the divide between political parties and things like this, and also what's going on in Israel, even amongst Jews, unfortunately, there's a lot of Jews that are against Israel protecting themselves. So you have these divides, and within ourselves, it's the divide is, and if we pay attention to this, we'll see it very much. Is that on one hand we want to do certain things, on the other hand we're also doing opposite things. I want to be healthy and I want to daven and learn, but I'm eating junk food. I'm going to bed late. For a simple example, and the example, there's a lot of examples we can use. I wanna and a lot of our issues that we contend with in life, it's because of this contention that we're not getting along within ourselves. And Nefesh Bahamis is running one way, Nefesh Elokis is running the other way, and they don't come to meet. And this is so this is the midyan. In personal sense, this refers to the baseless hatred and disunity that exists in people's hearts. And within us, and this is something a very deep point in here, this baseless hatred that we're going to come. And so when you first listen to this, you're like, me, I'm a good person. Oh, I don't hate anyone. I love everyone. But I think there's deeper levels on it, and you look at it and you see, like I used to have this varts. I didn't say it anywhere. This is my own little thing. I don't know. You can take it or leave it. But what's the difference between your friend and a person you don't like an enemy person, someone that bothers you? Everyone is their own perfect. Everyone has milas. They have good things about them and things they need to work on. So what's the difference? So why is one person you like and one person you hate him? And the answer is pretty simple. The person that you like, what do you focus on? Is the things that you like about them, the good things about them. And the bad things, you push it away. You don't even think about it. Whereas the person that you dislike, your focus is on the things that you dislike about him. For sure, he has good things. He or she have, it's not, no one, it's bad, have bad things. So this person that bothers you, you get into, let's say in seminary, and it's like some people that you don't get along with, or around in the world, and people do things and know you and stuff. So we have to analyze these things. It takes a lot of thought to really appreciate this, and really to see within ourselves, not to see that we're bad people, chas v'shalom, but to see where we can apply this to ourselves. Because the purpose of learning Chassidus, learning Maimon, is even when Chassidus telling you things that is not good, it's not to tell you to make you feel bad, chas v'shalom. That's totally the opposite purpose of it. It's to give you the opportunity to recognize where it can be fixed. It's like a business being run, and you're doing a big mistake that it's costing you lots of money. So let's learn. Someone tells you, hey, you're losing too much money because of this. You should be doing something differently. So you can come and say, hey, what are you telling me what to do? Who are you? And you get all angry. And I say, oh, thank you so much. You're saving me tons of money. It's the same thing here. In a personal sense, it refers to the baseless hatred and disunity that exists in people's hearts. This is the direct opposite of the side of kedushah. Kedushah is that we come together. And we're going to discuss this a lot. Kedushah is what comes together. When I have kedushah, I get along with each other. When you have kelipah and you have midyan, it's period strife. I can't get along. And we're finding all the differences, like the difference between your friend and the person you don't like. The person that you like is because you have kedushah. So let's find the unity that exists amongst us. Where the person that you don't like is coming from the midyan, so I find the disunity, which is characterized by unity. That's kedushah. This is, as is well known, the principal difference between holiness and sitra achra. And in general, sitra achra, on the other side, the impure side. So that's the difference between the two. Holiness is characterized by unification. This enables us to appreciate the uniqueness of Hashem's name Havaya and the fundamental oneness that it brings about. And this is sort of the Havaya that we're talking about. And Havaya is an idea of unity, bringing things together. This oneness is expressed through the unity and synthesis of the attributes of the intellect and emotive qualities as they exist in the realm of holiness. So this is the unity and synthesis of the attributes of bringing things and how we sort of combine different things together, like the intellect and the emotions, but all in kedushah. Although there are 10 distinct spheres comprising both moichin, which is intellectual attributes, and midos. So we have moichin and midos, which are very distinct things. So even though we have this, they are nevertheless unified and combined in perfect harmony, but they go together. You can have moichin and midos we're talking about within ourselves. That within ourselves, we can have disunity, but the way we think one way and we do other things. Whereas unity is we think something one way and we act it out in a positive way, of course. The 10 spheres represent God's intellectual and emotive attributes. By nature, every attribute is unique with its own definition and therefore self-contained. So you have a chesed, you have a gevurah, you have a chachma, you have a binah. They all just contain self things, like we discussed in last moment. The possibility for these attributes to interact and harmoniously combine results from the influence of God's name Havaya. And how do they come together, not stay separate, is through this level of Havaya. The Havaya brings out the unity. Elikus, kedushah is unity. It combines and unifies the spheres in absolute oneness, allowing each one to appreciate how another can complement it. And so within that, it's not that everyone becomes the same. And this is sort of what we're talking about in terms of nowadays. like society at large. It's not that we all have to become the same and have the same opinion. We have to see in everything how that opinion adds, and it complements. In contrast, the source and distinguishing trait of kelipah is the opposite. It is specifically separation and division. And kelipah is the exact opposite. It's always finding division. It's always finding the problems within the person, finding the problems within ourselves. It's always finding the problems in the world at large, and the problem with the other side. The contrast between the two realms is exemplified in the difference between an expression used by Yaakov, the prototype of holiness, as opposed to the one used by Esau, the prototype of evil. And we can see this contrast of unity and separation with Yaakov and Esau. How? Because by Yaakov it declares in top of page 16, I have kol, I have all, a term which implies hiskalus, meaning literally mutual incorporation. But hiskalus is like to be joined together. So Yaakov says, I have all, but the word that's used is implying that it's togetherness. Whereas Esau, by contrast, uses the expression, I have a rav, yeshli rav. I have many, a lot. Many, but it implies a lot of separate things. The word rav is related to the word ribui, meaning multiplicity, which leads to separation. Since each attribute is distinct and unique, the more they express their qualities, the greater the difference between them. And the more each one expresses, because it's disunity, so it separates them even more. Therefore, although there were 70 souls in the family of Yaakov, like I said, in Yaakov down to Mitzrayim, those 70 souls, when the Torah speaks of him taking his family to Egypt, the singular form is used, soul, shivim nefesh. It doesn't say shivim nefashos, plural, shivim nefesh. Even the 70, but the 70 united people, which is like Yaakov, have everything, but it's all unity. The singular used because, as mentioned above, the realm of holiness is characterized by oneness. Thus, although Yaakov's family numbered 70, they were characterized by oneness. Similarly, even though there are 10 spheres comprising of 3 intellectual attributes and 7 emotional attributes, these attributes are personified in the 70 descendants of Yaakov. So even though we have 7 attributes, and they're like in Yaakov with the 70, represents the 7 emotive attributes, each comprising 10 particular qualities, and each 7 is 10. There's Chacham and Adas, Chesed with Tiferes, and Chesed Malchus. So that's 7 times 10, as is known. So the interrelation between the different qualities fuses them into a single entity, but nevertheless they become oneness. Therefore, the Torah refers to them as using the singular form as mentioned above. So that's why we say it's nefesh, even though there's a lot, and even though in each one of them there's 10 different spheres. So the seven spheres, and there's 10 different levels of them, but altogether they're still becoming one. In contrast, the Esau's family numbered only 6. When the Torah uses this, Esau's only 6. What does the Torah says when the Torah describes him taking his family to Seir? The plural souls, nefashos, which is rabbim, which is plural. So even though he has 6, it's total disunity, for they present separation and division. Need to stop here. We'll just go a little quickly, finish it off. The contrast between the realm of holiness and the realm of kelipah can be understood by explaining the sources, the spiritual work of tikkun and tohu, from which these realms respectively derive. So the reason why it's like this is because one is coming from tohu, one is coming from tikkun. Yaakov is coming from tikkun, which is bringing together, which is like a world that created. We'll talk about it a little more later, but it's basically a world that had all unity, and it was a world with a lot of kelim, a lot of vessel, a lot of ability to come together. Whereas tohu is a higher level, but it's all disunity. It's all a lot of light, but no cannot come together. Tohu, the spiritual force of Esau, is characterized by separation. Hence, Chassidus refers to the spheres of tohu as separate branches. We'll stop on the top of page 18. It's a little in the middle, but so yeah, continue tomorrow. Just a practical takeaway to think about when you do this is in my life, my own personal life, am I like not united? Am I separate? Or in my life, am I one? Is it all unity? I have separate things. I have different parts of my day. I have my part I go to work, part I go to learn, part I hang with my friends, part I eat, sleep, and all these things. Are they all in line with each other, or they're all separated things? And also in my people around us. And when I look at people, do I look at their faults, or do I look at their minus, what bring me together with them, and how I can the unity I have with them, or the separation I have with them? And it's a good thing to think about and to see.
Thank you.
Thank you.